Good day, everyone, everywhere, and special greetings to all those seated in heavenly places in Yeshua, Jesus our Messiah. The name of this broadcast is Cross the Border, and this is our Prophecy Reality edition, our once-a-week edition. Well, summer is, I guess, unofficially over since it's September, so I'm back at the camera, and I hope to show up here every week so that I did show up at least once or twice a month through the summer, so I did pretty good. Today I really don't have any formal thing planned, so I've been conversing with a man who calls himself Lucky on the internet. I don't know if he calls himself Lucky or if that's his actual name, so I'm not going to comment on the name of Lucky, but he calls himself Lucky anyway on the internet, and we've been having a lively discussion over Daniel's 70 weeks. It all started with my posting of Matthew chapter 24 explained, and also the posting called "Show Me the Gap, Chuck," and Lucky has got mean, he's apologized, he's got angry, accused me of different things, but he keeps trying to whittle away at me to get me to change my view, because obviously I'm wrong about everything. And well, the problem is, Lucky, I used to hold the view that you hold now, and it wasn't until I laid it down, something you don't seem to be willing to do, and that is to completely lay down all your presupposition, then to honestly look at the scripture to find out what it actually says. And of course the topic here is Daniel's 70 weeks. So I put up a post here, let me put it on here, I think, nope, wrong button. That's the button there. This was in answer, because I wanted to Lucky and anyone else to absolutely see no doubt about where I stand on Daniel's 70th week, and Daniel's 70 weeks as a whole, the whole prophecy, because the whole prophecy is contained in 4 verses. Yeah, imagine that, the whole prophecy is contained in 4 verses of the Daniel 70 weeks. And so I put up this post in answer to one of his last postings and you can read you can read our conversation for yourself on my website at Cross the Border. We start on Matthew chapter 24 explained post, and so you can read his comments there, and at the end I finally answer him, and I put a link to my latest post here, which is the Daniel 70 weeks challenge. And if you're subscribed, and all I can say is, why are you not subscribed? If you're not, to my blog, go to crosstheborder.org, and in the upper right hand column you'll see a place to enter your email address and push the button to subscribe and join the crowd that follows my blog and is interested in the things that I'm posting. I mean, if you're interested in prophecy, whether you agree with me or not, you should be interested in the things so you can challenge me. And I'm still waiting for anyone, so I put up another challenge, and on Daniel 70 week, first show me the gap, and then the final challenge here is for people to see. I challenge anyone. That means you, if you don't agree or if you think there's something wrong with this. I challenge anyone to show me anything in this illustration that is inconsistent with the complete text of the 70 weeks prophecy. If you cannot exclude this view by the text, then it must be seriously considered. Next, does history exclude it? To the contrary, history confirms it. The prophecy is completely fulfilled. That's the evidence. Sorry about the little interruption there. My My producer's not taking care of business. Yes, I think he's scuffling out the door right now. Okay, so anyway, that's the evidence. Now I'm going to explain this for people who can't seem to understand what is going on here in this. Now, I'm going to read it first. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city. Now this is the angel speaking to Daniel, giving him the 70 weeks prophecy. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city to finish the transgression. Now these are the 6 things that are going to happen in the 70 weeks, okay? To finish the transgression, to make an end of sin, to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and the prophecy. And perhaps to seal up the vision and prophecy is pertaining to the 70 weeks being fulfilled. It's all going to be done. It's all going to be sealed up, the vision and the prophecy. And that could be extended to have some other meaning. But this is all going to happen in the 70 weeks. And to anoint the most holy. And of course, who is the most holy but the Messiah himself? And so those are the 6 things that are going to happen in the 70 weeks. And I contend that all of those 6 things did happen in 490 years from the going forth of the decree to rebuild Jerusalem, okay, the city and the wall and everything. Okay, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The streets shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. Daniel 9:24 through 27. As I said, 24, 25, 26, 27. 4 verses is the entire prophecy of Daniel's 70 weeks. So here it is. I've graphed it out. And so I have the challenge up there, and I also put the challenge on. If you click on this, it'll open it up big in your browser if you click on the actual image here. And that's why I put the challenge here too, because people may perhaps see this in other places or on Google Image, and I want them to have my website and my email address. As you can see, I put in the actual photo here, so that people could just get this, could answer the challenge. Okay, I'm looking for it. My friend Lucky wasn't able to answer the challenge. Just as what's his name, Chuck Missler, not able to show me the gap. Okay, it's simply not there. Okay, so we have the decree to rebuild. That's what the scripture, the prophecy said. That's the beginning. That's our starting point. We pinpointed that at through historical documentation at 458 BC, and that is confirmed that in 69 weeks of years, that's 483 years later, Jesus shows up. And here at this point where Jesus shows up 483 years later, Luke records for us that Jesus began to be about 30 years old. Of course, that's the Hebrew way of counting. Jesus would have had his, as we celebrate birthdays today, he would have had his 29th birthday already. That means he completed 29 years, and he was entering his 30th year. So it was the 30th year of Jesus' life, as Luke confirms here for us, and you can look that up in Luke. I have it on my other postings, but Luke records that Jesus began to be about 30 years old at this point. So that was 483 years later Okay, 69 weeks unto Messiah. So you can start here and count backwards, and history records, we have a secular history that records this date for us, because we have King Artaxerxes in the 6th or 7th year of his reign. I forget which one, but that dates it at 458 BCE. So we have confirmation here that this is true. So we have the 7 weeks, and then the 62 weeks. That's the way the prophecy is given. Know therefore, and see, here it is. Know therefore and understand, from the going forth of the command to restore, rebuild Jerusalem unto Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. See? Now, if Lucky has his way, he says everything's in chronological order. So we have the 7 weeks and the 62 weeks, and then it says, and the street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. But that happened back here in the 7 weeks. So not everything is in strict chronological order. Okay? So that blows you out of the water there, Lucky, with trying to put everything in chronological order to overthrow the plain meaning of the text. Because the street was built again, the wall, even in troublous times. Those troublous times were the first 7 weeks. And then there was the 62 weeks. That was the period of, that they say that there was no prophet in Israel, that the silent years, they call them. Because we had prophets in Israel during the 49 years. We have the record of who is it? Okay, well, I'm brain dead there. But we have the prophets that recorded, that told about the building of the temple and so forth. So, okay. And the people of the princes shall come, and so we move on there. So let's go back to our illustration. We'll finish here. So we had 69 weeks unto Messiah, because 7 weeks plus 62 is 62 weeks. Plus 7 is 69. So that brings us to this point. Unto Messiah the Prince. Baptism, Jesus began to be about 30 years old, qualifying for his priestly position. Okay? Also, I'm going to throw some things in here that I allude to in this graph here, but I didn't want to get outside of the text of the 4 verses. I wanted everything. Okay, so we get up to this point, and the text says after 62 weeks. So anything that happened after this point, from here on into infinity, is after 62 weeks. Because the argument is, well, the Romans didn't desolate it over here in the 70th week. Well, it doesn't say that they had to. The text doesn't require that everything had to happen within the 70 weeks. Only those things that are mentioned that happening in the 70 weeks had to happen. And we had the list of 6, plus we have some more. So let's go back down to the text. It says, after the 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. Now it doesn't say in the 70th week there. It just says after, so we know that's going to happen after this point. It can happen within the 70th week or any time after the 70th week. That it happened in the middle of the week, we also have that recorded here. So after the 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, after the 69, but not for himself. Okay, so we know that happened 3.5 years later. Okay, and the people, the prince that shall come, shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. Now, just as up here, where it said, okay, know therefore that we have 7 weeks and 62 weeks, and then it says, the city and the street shall be built again. This is not in chronological order. This part here, okay, this part here fits into this 7 weeks. This 7 weeks is when this part I have marked happened. So it's not a strict chronological order. Okay? So neither is it a strict chronological order. The text does not demand it unless it explicitly states it. Okay? And it obviously demonstrates here that this is not a strict chronological order. Okay? So we have here, after the 62 weeks. he shall, okay, let's see, where was it? Oh yeah, and after the 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people, the prince that shall come, shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood. And unto the end of the war desolations are determined. Now, pay attention. Just as before, this wasn't in chronological order, the explanation, neither is it here. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. Okay? Now, what week? We're only talking about the 70 weeks. The topic up here is 70 weeks. So the 1 week is, if we go up to our illustration, we have the 7 weeks, the 362 weeks, and then we have 1 week here, the 70th week. Okay, so let's go back down here. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. We'll spend a little more time on that. And in the midst of the week, what week? In the midst of the week, well, the 70th week, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. Okay? So who is the he? That's another argument that they would like to use, and I do answer that argument. I'm not the only one who answers that argument. Okay, so this illustration here, chart, whatever you want to call it, is in complete compliance grammatically and everything with the text of the 4 verses that constitute the Daniel 70 weeks prophecy. 7 weeks, 62 weeks, 1 week. In the middle of the week he was cut off. He put an end to the sacrifice and oblation by the sacrifice of himself. And it was 40 years from this point to the Roman desolation. However, 3.5 years later, the gospel went to the Gentiles. Stephen was stoned. That was like the last act of defiance by the Jewish nation and the religious leaders to the gospel. Okay? And the gospel went to the Gentiles, and of course the desolation came with a flood at 70 CE. And all of that happened after the 62 weeks. Everything that the scripture says happened after the 62 weeks happened after that. After the 62 weeks. So we don't have to fit the Roman desolation in there, because the Roman desolation is only placed after the 62 weeks. The things that are placed into the week, where it refers to the week, which I marked down here, in the midst of the week he shall confirm the covenant. And here it says, with many for 1 week. Well, those happen in the 70th week. And also, read the text very carefully. There is no explicit instruction. There is nothing in the text to move the 70th week. It doesn't say anywhere that 69 weeks unto Messiah the Prince, and then we'd have to put another verse in here that says something like, there's going to be a long period of time before the 70th week. The 70th week is not going to follow immediately after 69. We're given a time frame. 490 years is the time frame. These things have to happen in the 490 years. A gap is a theory that people want to put in so that they can uphold counter-Reformation eschatology. If you go back to the end-time Antichrist eschatology, it all began with Francisco Ribera, and it's been built upon. Now, at the bottom of the post here, I put some links. We talk about the New English Version confusion, because he says, he changes some words for the overspread. Let's see, what was the word he changed? Okay, we'll get to that, because I'm going to go to some of his posts. Actually, we have responses here, so this is where Lucky comes in. And I had a very good response from Tennessee Dave. Yeah, very good question, and I'm glad that Tennessee Dave asked the question. Okay, he says, if you could please explain from Daniel 9:24, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon the holy city to make an end of sins. Obviously, we're still in sin. What does that mean? Thanks. And I've had people throw that in my face before. Well, it couldn't have happened in the 70 weeks. It couldn't have happened in the 70 weeks because people are still sinning out here, right? Well, yeah, that's true. But there's a problem with that. If that's going to be your argument to say that sin had to end back, at the time of the Messiah in the actual 70th week that followed the 69th week, well, then we both have a big problem, because I'll get to my answer here. So he says, obviously, we're still in sin. What does that mean? Thanks. And I do thank you for good questions. That's a good and appropriate question. So I answer the question. I've answered this before in another video. All I had to do is search it down in my in the book that I'm writing and copy it to make an end of sins. This does not mean that men will never sin again, as some of the futurist camp would argue. For the scripture confirms that men will even sin in the millennium after the great tribulation of the futurist pseudo 70th week. So this argument is against their own unscriptural, and I add, counter-Reformation view as well. You get it? Men are going to sin in the millennium as well. So sin isn't even ended in your counterfeit 70th week. Obviously, the scripture, so that would make your argument against even your own view. So, our New Testament writers confirm the true meaning. But now, once in the end of the world hath he appeared to put away sin. Get it there? Put away sin by the sacrifice of himself. Then again, for Christ hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust. And you can look up those for yourself. So he did make an end of sin to qualify for those 6 things to be done in the 70 weeks of Daniel. And I believe we're going to go into a break here in a few minutes. So I'm going to pick up with this, answering some of Lucky's other problems when we come back from the break. Visit my website, crosstheborder.org. And make sure you sign up and you subscribe there to my blog. Also, I have a YouTube page. Subscribe to the YouTube page. You can find a link there at prophecyrealitytv.net, and there's a link on my blog to that. So make sure you subscribe to both of those things and spread these things around, Facebook, post them on Twitter, whatever you have to do. That's how you can help me out. Okay, crosstheborder.org. That's it, and we'll pick up here when we get back. So don't go anywhere.